Who do you think poisoned Alexei Navalny?
Say it.
Who do you think poisoned Alexei Navalny in Russia?
We'll talk about that at another time.
That was Donald Trump yesterday, refusing to condemn Putin for allegedly poisoning Navalny in a way that other Western leaders already have. In addition, France, Sweden, and Germany have concluded that Alexei Navalny was poisoned by a nerve agent called Novichok and argued that this provides confidence that Russia was behind it. But so far, Trump refuses to acknowledge the evidence or the crime. Trump and Putin against the free world may sound like an old story at this point, but there's new evidence from a new insider account of the Mueller probe that Mueller's investigators were so intimidated by Trump's attacks on them that they pulled back on questions of investigating Trump's business ties to Russia. From the New York Times report on that upcoming account from one of Mueller's top former prosecutors, Andrew Weissmann, quote, "The team led by Robert Mueller, the special counsel, failed to do everything it could do to determine what happened in the 2016 election, shying away from steps like subpoenaing President Trump and scrutinizing his finances out of fear he would fire them." One of Mr. Mueller's top lieutenants argued in the first insider account of the inquiry. Digging deeper, Weissmann offers these alarming new details. One, that the same business account that sent hush money payments to cover up alleged sexual relationships with women also received, quote, payments linked to a Russian oligarch. And two, that Mueller's prosecutors held back on sharing evidence with prosecutors in New York, who yesterday revealed that they are working on a vast bank fraud case against the Trump org. Donald Trump's free pass to Putin to poison a political adversary as questions mount about whether Trump's ties to Russia were thoroughly investigated at all while new evidence emerges about Putin's role in aiding Trump again in the upcoming election. It's where we start this hour. Former senior FBI official Chuck Rosenberg is here, plus former chief of staff to the CIA and the Department of Defense, Jeremy Bash, is back, and Washington correspondent for the New York Times, Mike Schmidt, joins us. He's the author of the new book, Donald Trump versus the United States, Inside the Struggle to Stop a President. I want to start with you, Jeremy Bash, and this new intelligence assessment. It goes further than what the ODNI already released to Congress and publicly, which was intel about this Russian operation to use this Ukrainian lawmaker to put out disinformation that denigrated Joe Biden. The development here, the sort of blockbuster incremental change in the story seems to be that we now have reason to believe Putin's directing it. Is that right?
Well, more than that, Nicole. If this report is accurate, this is collusion. Why do I say that? Because according to this report, Andrei Derkach is a Russian agent. He's an agent of the Russian Federation. His cover story is as a Ukrainian lawmaker, but according to this intelligence assessment report, a report of the assessment, he is controlled by the Kremlin. Point two is that Rudy Giuliani, we know, has been working with him. And, of course, Rudy Giuliani is an agent of Trump and the Trump campaign. That's 1 + 1 = 2. That is collusion. That's a direct tie between a known Russian agent and the Trump campaign to try to do what? To denigrate Joe Biden and to support Donald Trump in his reelection. So the extent to which the Mueller report, which I know we're going to get to, could not establish a direct tie between the Russian Federation and the Trump campaign, here in 2020, we have it unfolding before our very eyes.
Jeremy, tell me more. I mean, I think what people maybe have grown numb to is this question mark. But what you're describing is an answer, a plan that's out in the public and a direct tie between Donald Trump and the Kremlin.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, this is black and white. This is a known intelligence officer who the Treasury Department sanctioned and called out for having ties to Russian intelligence for over a decade. Someone who, according to this credible news report, the CIA has assessed is an agent of the Russian Federation. We know that the objective of the Russian intelligence services, according to what's been previously disclosed by ODNI, is to denigrate Joe Biden and support Donald Trump in the 2020 reelection. And we know that Rudy Giuliani, who is, of course, not only Donald Trump's counselor, #1 cheerleader, but his bag man on dirty tricks in the election, has met with Derkach on at least 3 occasions. To do what? To talk about geopolitics? No. To try to dig up false dirt on Joe Biden and help Donald Trump win re-election. That is straight up collusion with a foreign adversary intelligence power to try to get the president reelected. I don't know. We don't need a Mueller report. We don't even need a Senate Intelligence Committee report. It's right here for everybody to see.
Mike Schmidt, your colleagues, David Sanger and Julian Barnes, are reporting the same development that is now believed by the CIA. They assess that Vladimir Putin is likely directing the disinformation campaign around Joe Biden. Just compare that to what we've learned about what the intelligence community understood to be going on in 2016. Is it, as Jeremy Bash describes, collusion out in the open?
I mean, it's not as simple as a Mad Lib and just changing the year, but it echoes incredibly. The whole central part and question of what the Obama administration said about the 2016 meddling was about how involved Vladimir Putin was, how much he directed it. And now we have a report that appears to be saying something similar, if not maybe just a little bit lighter, with a may in front of it. So the thing that sort of doesn't surprise me but surprises me at the same time is that 2016 was the greatest intelligence failure since 9/11. And it was far more complex in many ways than 9/11 because it had different facets to it. It had different types of disinformation and hacking and espionage. And we have not had that 9/11 style commission that has looked at 2016 to come up with best practices. The federal government has not remade itself. It has not created a new Department of Homeland Security. It has not created a Department of Information to deal with disinformation. Very few of those steps have been taken. So here we are again, coming back into an election with probably similar tools. Maybe the FBI and the intelligence community feel like they have a better handle on it. I guess they'd probably say that. But there's no larger confidence here that the government has done anything to stop and deal with it. If anything, the president has made that perception much worse. And it's the same story. It's the same story. We're back in 2016.
Well, Chuck Rosenberg, isn't the elephant in the room that the story is different because Donald Trump, who was asked yesterday by Mike's colleague if he wanted to condemn the poisoning of one of Trump's political dissidents, said, no, I don't want to do that. And then when Jonathan Swan pressed him about the Russian program, which was also in a CIA intelligence assessment, he said, no, I didn't talk to Putin about that. Why would I talk to him about bounties placed on the head of American soldiers paid by Russia? I mean, time and time again, Donald Trump has acted in a way that is more favorable to Russia's national security than ours.
Yes, absolutely, Nicole. I couldn't agree more. Look, we've heard this song before. We heard it, as Mike suggested, in 2016. I imagine we're going to hear it right up to the election. And by the way, if Trump were to win, which wouldn't be, I think, in any way a good thing for this country, we'll hear it for 4 more years after that, denial after denial after denial from Mr. Trump about Russia and its intentions. And I don't know how to say 4 more years in Russian, but I'm sure that they are chanting that in the Kremlin right now. You know, if you think about the things that Russia would have wanted, right, from a U.S. president, but never in a million years thought it could get, it would be Donald Trump. It would be the dissolution of NATO, or at least the degradation of NATO. It would be, put aside all the financial dealings, just the geopolitical posture of the United States as embodied by our president is a Vladimir Putin wish list. It's absolutely extraordinary. And by the way, I think we know a lot about this. We may not know it perfectly, but between the Senate Intel report, which runs about 1,000 pages, and the Mueller report, which runs about 448 pages, we know an awful lot about what happened, and we know they're coming at us again. And I have no doubt that what Chris Wray, the FBI director, said the other day is true. They are interfering in our election, and they are doing it in a way that favors Donald Trump and that denigrates Joe Biden.
I want to ask you, Jeremy Bash, how the president's soundbite there yesterday that I played at the top, where I think he was asked by Michael Crowley of the New York Times if he wanted to condemn the poisoning as